participate in the wall work. That was my understanding.
That was my understanding as well.
Okay, and is that in our notes anywhere?
I don't believe it's specified. We could probably add.
We should, because I mean I think they were the ones that had the best handle on the kind of work that would be appropriate. I wouldn't just want a site contractor out there moving rocks around.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
The property is going to be sold in mid-April.
Okay.
So to say that it has to be a particular landscape architect who has to be involved after the property is transferred, I'm not quite sure how that should be worded.
What we could do is put in a condition that basically says that there should be a site meeting with the board's landscape consultant and town planner to
That work for you?
provide an overview.
That would work for me, and then
Okay.
we would be stressing to the new owner.
Yeah. Right. That's fine.
You want me to move?
Yeah.
On the certificate of action, Scenic Road approval with the conditions for 72 leveling Weston with the changes that were just specified by Al. Joe?
Yep. Actually, I just want to write down that condition so that I can read that into the record. The board can see whether it fits.
As amended. Are you going to read it to us?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
I'll second it when it comes.
Okay, good.
Prior to commencement of work, a pre-construction site meeting shall occur with the board's landscape architect and town planner to review construction process in order to ensure protection of existing trees.
That what you were after, Al? Okay. As amended.
And David seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Beth.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Joe,
Thank you.
very minor thing under item 1.
Yep.
Project must be received on the second line instead of must receive.
It's a typo.
Okay. Under conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
Gifford School
Do
next,
you
or
want to say
what?
anything about camera? Illuminating?
Yeah. I mean, the question is whether there's an objection to having somebody film us. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, we're on local access television anyway, so I don't have an objection to it.
Yeah,
It would be nice to know who it is.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Sorry, are you asking me to identify myself?
Yeah.
Avery Chaplin, I'm Diana's son.
Oh, okay.
thanks, David.
Yeah.
We're wondering where Diana went.
So we can 144. Yeah,
So
let's
we're
do
doing 144?
144. Yeah, let's do 144.
So the text is there, though. It's maybe a little faded. If people have any questions, I can identify what is stricken in what is the text that
You mean under
inserts.
discussion?
Right. And basically, these edits were recommended or requested by Mr. Resnick, which I didn't have any issue with, and I sent this decision as it is marked up to Joel Bard to make sure he didn't have an issue. He said he had no issues. They didn't change the content of the decision.
So is this the way it's really just going to be written in the discussion rather than the abutting neighbor to the south, Mr. Resnick?
So that's how it's going to be
Abutting
once
neighbor?
once I accept.
There.
There is a the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that is crossed out.
It's
That's
washed-
underlined.
it's washed out,
It's
but not
washed
crossed out.
Okay,
Right.
everything else is. Appeal the issues of the building permit based on June 1st?
Yeah, based on the
Okay,
June
okay,
1st.
I got it.
And in the final version, I have approval is spelled correctly.
On page 3, how is item condition 4 supposed to read?
Okay. Condition 4, the final link would be the applicant shall comply with item 4 project review fees, period. Then we'll start, the planning board will determine whether there are sufficient funds.
Under the- Oh, sorry.
The reason is that there's already a house. They've already built a house. There's no building permit that is conjunction. It's just we want to be able to have some funds. Once they do the earthwork, we want to make sure that David goes out just to make sure that the grading has worked out according to plan.
My comment was up on page 2 in the draft revised language.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would just say under in the part that says other provisions of the settlement agreement will help mitigate the impacts. You know, at least partially, I just think is just overly verbose. I mean, it's going to help mitigate it. You know, but it goes without saying that it's at least partially. So I would just take that out. It sounds like we're taking a position.
Okay, so where should I end that?
Just say will help mitigate the impacts of the current configuration of 144 Beaver Road,
Okay.
period.
Okay, yep.
Everybody okay with this one?
Just reliving the fun of it all,
Yeah, it's just the 3 of you on this one.
right?
Okay. Steve, you all set? Or
Just the 3 of us.
just the 3 of us?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I can't count apparently. So I move that we accept the draft decision for 144 Beaver Road with that small revision.
Sue, want a second?
That's the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to Gifford School. I think we might have time for Gifford. Let's see. John, are you here to help us with the discussion on Gifford School?
I could be, but
But that wasn't the reason?
no.
Okay. The only thing, do you remember what the volume of earth moved was?
They estimated
Yeah, the final estimate, after they went back and forth a couple of times.
between 600 and 700 yards.
Can we include that somewhere in this decision?
Well, I mean, that's
Here?
that last memorandum is what was the final calculation at 861 yards.
861,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually say that, or does it? Or does it?
In the list of
letter.
documents.
The memorandum from John Field, oh, okay. Because I think what we said at the hearing, and we should repeat here, is that if any subsequent work goes over the 1,000 cubic yard limit, they need a special permit.
Right. I mean, I thought
You
we were
don't
actually a
actually
little
say
bit.
that.
I thought we were a little bit more strict because they. I thought we had said any more changes they had to come back.
Well, they do, for
Right,
site plan
so-
approval, but not for special permit.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that should be, we should flag that somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't, but if they do, they've got 140 cubic yards and they're over the limit.
Yeah.
Not a lot of.
So basically what could do is just the top of page 3 of 3, where Mr. Baskett stated that his engineering consultant with Semiotis determined the amount of earth to be removed was under 1,000 cubic yards. What we could basically say was calculated to be 861 below the 1,000 cubic yard threshold for the earth movement bylaw. The planning board stated any earthwork that results in exceeding 1,000 cubic yards will require a special permit by the planning
We
board.
could also add in what is the actual amount.
It's in here, 861.
Right.
But what's the 861 from 1,000 is what?
It's 140 cubic yards. and they're
Anything that
over.
involves 140, I mean, you could actually
Yeah.
be that blatant about it, right? So
So,
that's pretty obvious.
I could add that
Yeah.
sentence to
I
that.
think we should do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so people won't,
Right.
because nobody remembers the details of the
Yep.
discussions, but we did cover that pretty thoroughly.
So it's 139.
Well, yep, that's true. 139.
All right, so 139 is the number, 139. It's small enough that people will know.
Okay.
When they, just as a note, I don't know if we have to put this in the conditions, but when they come back to us with the other work they're going to be doing this spring, the landscaping work and that sort of thing,
They'll have to quantify
they'll have to
that.
quantify what they're
Exactly.
going to be moving.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
You mean now that it's practically springtime?
Exactly.
On number 8, Joe, Marissa spells her name with 1 S, not 2.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Accept the certificate of action site plan approval for the Gifford School, 181 Boston Post Road with the amendments as noted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous for 4 of us. So that's the end of that list. Now we're on to our scheduled meeting at 7:45 for the draft, review of the draft decision for 24 Meadowbrook Road. Have you all seen the draft?
Yes.
COA?
Yes,
Okay.
So just to give the board a little heads up on this decision, In the draft that was sent around to the board, or distributed to the board on Friday in the packet with the planting plans, on Monday we picked up that the one of the sheets, L3, did not have the shrubs, the rhododendrons behind the wall. That was then changed later on Monday with a plan revision submitted in to myself and Kim, so we verified that. The draft that you have at your seat reflects a change in the date to the 18th rather than the 13th. And there was one other change that they had, or that came at the request of conservation, and namely, you may recall that the rear property line abuts the town of Weston land. She asked for some additional markers just to make sure that that rear property line was monumented so that can more clearly delineate the rear property line. And in working with Metro West on page 12 of 13, item C, inserted a condition: the applicant shall install bound markers in the rear yard to identify the shared lot line with land owned by the town of Weston. So that's one that got inserted that you didn't see on Friday.
Do these plans have the rhododendrons on them?
No, no, I don't. But I have full plans if you want to take a look, see what the distance.
So what's the difference between this L2 and what we saw?
I just didn't have. That's from the packet. So that's the old one.
Okay.
I have printout here. I can show the board, and you have printout there. So if you want to just roll it out just to show.
Has Kim seen it?
Kim has seen it, yes. She's available by phone. North Shore was a little messier, so for Regis, she's going to telephone in.
Okay.
The roads that are existing in this area were proposed to be moved over here, and what we have is we've shown them standing in the same place where they currently are, which is along the track.
And they're above that wall.
They're on the top of this wall, yes.
And were any additional trees added around here since we last met?
Since we last met, we had we did review, and we were unable to save anything of interest in this area due to the placement of this field. As you move this way, you're really not gaining any trees. There's 2 pines back here that I've already saved. We did add some more screening trees with the neighbor along this side of the property.
Those are the ones you're pointing to?
Yes, these here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, that is the right side. They're, from her angle, they're 8 to 10s along here, 10 to 12s. But as you look at that berm, that's really tall up on that side there. So as those would be sufficient for screening.
The ceiling mount fixtures, those are still exposed bulb fixtures, right?
No, there was a note added.
The ceiling mounted ones are recessed up inside the porch ceiling.
Oh, they are? So these cuts right here, those are out of date, or?
No, those
The
are
ceiling
for
mount
a
fixtures.
porch socket that are flanked by a beam. And they're fixtures that the board has approved on previous porches built last year.
With translucent panels, or?
Yeah, sort of clear glass panels. I mean, there are not too many, versions of a colonial porch surface mount. That's kind of your most common type of traditional.
Where are they again?
I'm sorry?
Where are they?
There are only 2. They're on the porch ceiling over the mudroom door and one over the front door.
So there's one here.
Okay.
And there's one here.
Oh,
So
they're
within
set up
enclosed spaces.
inside of a recessed porch ceiling with deep beams that come down.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Joe, what's in here that's not boilerplate?
That was the condition about the bounds, was the only thing that really wasn't boilerplate. Oh, I'm sorry, and right above that, the generator. I had emailed the board saying that they provided the model. I included that in the decision here. This is the exact model. So the condition also adds, besides that model, a wood fence shall be installed along the western side of the generator. The fence shall be constructed as a solid fence with no gaps between elements of the fence. No gap shall be permitted between the ground and the bottom of the fence, and the fence shall extend no less than 1 foot above the installed height of the generator. That fence brings things down to below 40 dBA of the property line.
Is there a reason we shouldn't say that no time shall the sound be above 40 dBA? Property line? I mean, as an addition to that paragraph, that condition B. Because, 20 years from now, maybe the Kohler model 38RCL doesn't exist.
Well, that's why I said or
Or similar.
I mean, my recommendation would be.
That's what the bright line is.
Well,
Right.
We could say the objective is to achieve a level of 40 dBA at the property line.
Yeah.
We say the requirement instead of objective.
If it's a requirement, it should be no more than.
Yes.
Hey, Dave.
You comfortable with that?
I mean, I think with the rather than saying requirement, just with the either objective or the goal of not exceeding 40.
It's awful fuzzy.
We don't have a bylaw provision.
So we are going to add that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because otherwise this paragraph just looks like we're putting some decoration around the generator.
Actually, it reduces the dB by 5.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if I were reading this 5
Oh.
years later, I'd think, oh gosh, they were really concerned about the appearance of that generator. Because
Oh, right,
really
right.
not a lot of mention about the noise,
No, right,
sound.
right.
Yeah.
No, we tracked that all down,
Yeah.
with the dB. We were like 1 dB over, so the fence brought us below 40. So that's great.
Okay.
I mean, you can still, the next door neighbors could still hear it if they're out in the yard. Because, what we're
Yeah.
listening to now is probably around dBA 40. Everybody ready, or Steve, you still reading?
Joe,
Motion back.
just a minor thing, under 2B, when you were reading with no gaps between elements,
Okay.
that's not exactly what it says.
If we're drilling down to typos and that sort of thing, page 5 of 13, third paragraph, Ms. Tuner said she caught the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Where's that?
Middle of page 5.
Page 5.
Third paragraph down, 5.
Yeah, something against the Boston accent.
That would be turn up.
So I'm sorry, Steve, what did you identify? Fence shall be constructed.
2B.
Not gaps.
On page 12, should be no gaps between.
Yep. Okay.
Ken, if you want.
I propose that we approve the certificate of action for 24 Meadowbrook Road with the revisions just discussed.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. All right.